Hello, my name's Kayleigh and welcome to my reading corner. I thought I would start off today just by telling you my reading plans for January. I know we're like a week into the month already, so I have read a couple of these, but I just wanted to go over my plans and get this video up. So, I'll tell you first about a book I've already read. This one is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. This one has been very well loved on booktube. It was published a couple of years ago, and this is set out kind of like an interview format, so it follows Evelyn Hugo, who is kind of a reclusive like Hollywood movie star, and she asks an up-and-coming journalist to write her biography. So it's told through her 7 husbands. Each husband has a chapter, and she's basically spilling all about her life. Yeah, this one was a December read for me actually, and I just carried it over into January and finished it within the first few days of the year. So there's that one. The next book that I have, I'm actually listening to an audiobook, and that is The Fellowship of the Ring. So I listened to The Hobbit last month, and I really enjoyed it. The audiobook was a very immersive experience with all the voices of the characters and like the songs that they sing as well. So I thought I would carry on and listen to The Lord of the Rings on audio as well, and hopefully complete the trilogy this year. So there's that one. The next one I'm actually currently reading, and that is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. So I think a lot of people are reading this at the moment because the movie was released last month. I've never read Little Women before, so this is a complete new experience for me, and I'm about 100 pages into it and I'm absolutely loving it so far. This was written in the 1860s, and it follows the 4 March sisters as they, I guess, grow up and come of age, and it's set during the Civil War. So yeah, loving this one so far. I'm really excited to finish it. The next one, and actually the next 3 books, are all part of my Goodreads Want to Read project that I'm doing this year. So basically I'm looking back at my Goodreads Want to Read shelf from 2 years ago and seeing which books I added within the corresponding month. And so in January 2018 I added a whopping 68 books to my Want to Read shelf. But if I own any of those books, then I'm going to add them to my monthly TBR. So out of those 68 books, I owned 3 of them. So those 3 I'm going to read this month. So the first one is My Absolute Darling by Gabriel Tallent. So this one follows a 14-year-old girl called Turtle and her dad, Martin, and he kind of has survivalist beliefs, so he thinks the world's going to end, so they live an abnormal life kind of away from society. And she's good at surviving within nature, and she can fire and look after a lot of different types of guns. Martin's also extremely abusive, both physically and verbally, and so it kind of looks at their relationship and what it does to Turtle's outlook on life and her own like self-worth as well. So I absolutely love this one. Spoiler alert, I gave it 5 stars, so it was great. The next one on that Goodreads list was The Invisible Circus by Jennifer Egan. This one, I've read one other book by Jennifer Egan, so I read Manhattan Beach a couple of years ago, and although I didn't love that book, I thought I would go back and read Jennifer Egan's backlist. So this is her debut novel. I don't know much about it other than what it says in the back. So it follows an 18-year-old girl called Phoebe who is obsessed with the memory of her sister Faith, who was kind of a really beautiful sort of hippie type person, and she travelled a lot, and she actually died in Italy in 1970. So Phoebe wants to kind of figure out what happened to Faith and find out more about her, so she follows in her footsteps. So I think it's set across Europe, and we just follow Phoebe as she tries to find out all these different secrets about her family. And then the last one on the Goodreads list is Girls Burn Brighter by Shobha. This one was on the BookTube Prize long list last year, so that's what prompted me to actually pick the book up. And this one is set in India, so it follows 2 friends, Purnima and Savitha, who are both born into poverty, and they kind of have a bit of a hard life, and they find each other and form a really strong friendship. And then I think something happens which drives one of them away, so the other girl has to leave everything she knows to go and find her friend. So yeah, it sounds really, really good, exactly up my street. And I think this one's written with both girls' perspectives, so each chapter alternates, which is something that I really, really love. So I'm excited to try this one, definitely. The next one that I have is something completely different, and that is A Wrinkle in Time by Madeleine. This is a children's novel, and it's the first in a series. It's been on my shelf for ages. It follows Charles, Meg and Calvin, who travel through space and time to try and find their missing father. So it just sounds like a classic, fun adventure story, so I'm excited for this one. The next book that I have is The Time Traveller's Wife by Audrey Niffenegger. This is another backlist title and actually another debut. This was published in 2003 and it's essentially a love story just between Claire and Henry, but with a sci-fi twist. So Henry has a condition which means that he is pulled into his past or his future suddenly and spontaneously, which obviously causes some problems. So the novel just looks at how that affects their marriage and their relationship and how they try to live a normal life despite that happening to them. And the last book that I have on my list is The Red Queen by Philippa Gregory, so a bit of historical fiction. This is part of her Plantagenet and Tudor novels series. You can read these books in a couple of different orders, but I'm reading them chronologically through history, so if you read them that way, this is the third book that you'll come to. The first one in the series, The Lady of the Rivers, I absolutely loved. That one follows Jacquetta of Luxembourg, and then The White Queen, the second book, follows Elizabeth Woodville, which is her daughter. This book, though, follows Margaret Beaufort. It's set in 1453 and just continues the story of the Cousins' War. So I'm excited to carry on with this series. And that is the full stack. It's a bit ambitious for me, hopefully I'll get to all of them. Let me know if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them, and if you're planning to read any other books in January, let me know down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!